Hello again, Gills fans. Welcome back to the latest episode of Gills in the Blood TV. It is Monday review time, but it is Monday review with a difference as I look to revamp the show. And as you can see, a familiar face, a familiar Gillingham fan on the screen. I'm pleased to announce again, because I did announce it on Twitter during the week, that Rhys, who runs the very, very impressive German Gills YouTube channel, I will put his details in the description at the bottom of the video, but I'm sure you're all subscribed anyway. But if you're not, why not? Go and do it straight away. Hit that subscribe button. He has agreed to come on and join me every Sunday. Obviously, bear in mind we do have lives and families and other stuff that we have to do, but generally every Sunday to record so that you get our thoughts on the weekend game first thing Monday morning. So first of all, Rhys, appreciate you coming on board and joining me for these this series. And we didn't lose.
No, we didn't lose, and I just want to say thanks, Matt, for inviting me on. Obviously, it's been a bit of a journey developing my channel. I have to say, like, let's be honest, we do the same thing but in a different way. I think it's probably the best way to describe it.
Very different way, yeah. But I think it's very good, and obviously, again, it's just I said to someone the other day, and it's great that we can provide this outlet. For people that can't get to games. Obviously, you can't get to the games.
No.
You're living in Germany, so I think it's a brilliant concept, and it has grown, and it's been great to watch it grow. So
yeah, and it's also you were the first inspiration of it as well. If Matt can do it, surely there's a good place for me to slot in there somewhere as well. And that was
if I can do it, anyone can do it.
I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to say it too harsh.
No, that's absolutely fine. We've got a positive performance to talk about.
We do.
We didn't win. We didn't score a goal.
No,
that's becoming the norm. Unfortunately, we've now set a club record. I think it is 630 minutes without a goal in competitive action.
Yeah, something like that.
To first week of August, I think, when we last scored was against Wimbledon in the League Cup.
Yeah, and even that, like, because I can't even watch those games over in Germany. So for me, it's a Rochdale game, if I'm totally honest, live.
And it's, bless you, in that goal of the month competition.
I have to say, bit tongue in cheek, but yeah, it did sort of expose our lack of goals throughout the whole season so far. It was it's been pretty tragic up top, but a much better defensive performance yesterday. You'll probably agree. It was I mean, I know we're going to go through the game, but one of the things that I really did notice was firstly, I thought it was Max Amer's best game of the season so far, and we can talk about individual performances, and I think he's been hot and cold throughout the season so far. But I really was impressed. Fair. I think I really was impressed with what he did yesterday, and I just thought we looked pretty solid. It was kind of no nonsense, which is why we kept giving the ball away in the Swindon half in the second half. But overall, it was a watertight performance in defence to me, and I'm sure you'd agree with that. I don't know what it was like from the stands, but definitely.
Yeah, I think if you look at it as a whole, and obviously we're go through it half by half in a sec. But yeah, just to build on your comment, I think Glenn Morris has made one save first half, right at the end, the one where he's got his hands up from the header, which is a very good stop, point blank. I think the saves second half generally you'd expect him to make, a keeper of his calibre. I think the best one's the one where he has to get down low to his right and put it around the post for a corner.
I just want to make a point on that one actually. I don't know if it was clear in the stadium, but actually it was the deflected shot, that one as well. So he had to reach even further.
I'm glad you said that, because we was asking each other. We were saying that looked like it took a nick, but we wasn't sure. So that probably makes it an even better save. In fairness to the cat. But yeah, so let's rewind all the way back to 2 o'clock.
Oh yeah, of course.
Saturday afternoon. Got to get used to saying that because we're recording on a Sunday.
Oh, that is true, actually, yeah.
Team news was announced. I thought Neil Harris was quite brave. Went to a back four. Turned out to be very brave, but we'll get to that incident in a couple of minutes. There was a debut for Haji Minoga. So he lined up as a right back, which was surprising because I didn't think he was coming in on loan. Because I'd heard rumours that he was going to Crewe, and then Crewe was saying they might play him as a fullback, and Portsmouth weren't going to allow him to go and do that. So it was quite surprising that.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Started there. It was Max Emer and Elkin Baggett as the centre-backs and Ryan Law as the left-back. We then had two in front protecting, which was Stuart O'Keefe and Sean Williams. And then there was a three behind Mikael Mandron, which was Ben Reeves, Scott Kashkit and Hakeem Badella-Coon, who we'll also get to for very different reasons.
Of course.
Was you surprised when you saw the lineup? No right, a natural right-back, a centre-back playing out of position, making a debut 2 days after arriving?
I don't know. I thought it was a funny one. So firstly, when Minoga came into the starting lineup, I actually was expecting, when you get a lone player and you're like the Robin McKenzie, he's turned up, he's like the training session, you don't put him in the team. And I thought actually it was quite an interesting approach what Harris said. Oh, I'm not going to put McKenzie, he's not ready yet. But you've put Monodja in. I'm like, but you're kind of being you're going against what you're saying here. Like, and you put him straight in the team. And I just think if someone that goes into a new team like that, it put a lot of pressure on them straight away. And I thought that was probably as one of the reasons or one of the factors that led to this incident, and amongst other things, particularly his inexperience and pumped up for the game. But I was quite surprised initially with that lineup. The rest of it, though, it's pretty standard for me when you got four like that at the back. I was at the front with Mikkel Mandron up top and the three sitting behind. Kind of expected that going against Swindon, particularly at home as well. It felt like it was a bit more of an attacking lineup. And that actually, as we go into the first sort of 10 minutes of the game, it definitely felt that way.
Yeah, I thought we was very good in that 10 minutes. I think just to go back to your point about Haji Minoga, I think maybe he was not risked, that's probably a wrong word, but chucked in straight away over Robbie McKenzie because Robbie McKenzie's not played any football since last season. That might be the only reason. Minoga's played for Portsmouth in some trophy games and friendlies. I think he played against us in the friendly in pre-season, actually. We have to talk about him. We were good for 10 minutes. I thought we was pinching the ball really high and getting into good areas. And then, unfortunately, the game plan went somewhat out the window because 2 yellow cards in 5 minutes. I even thought, I don't know whether you saw it on the telly, but I thought he even had a swipe at the lad before he got the first caution. It was like he'd had a go and missed him. And you think, oh, please learn. And then he ran after him and brought him down and got the first caution. I don't know if that was apparent.
It was.
On iFollow.
It was apparent, and one of the things you may not have noticed actually when he did catch him, he caught his ankle and twisted it quite a lot. The player, I don't know who he tackled actually the first yellow, but it really had got. I mean, it was nowhere near the ball. Went for the back left ankle, and it looked like on another day that could have been a breaker actually. And I was quite surprised. If the ref had given a red, it would have been a bad. It would have been a great call, but I kind of would have seen it. It was an awfully late tackle, and it was totally deserving of the yellow card that he got in the 6th minute. And then I think, hot-headed player and on the counter attack that week, because Gills had a corner actually before it got cleared, and then on the counter attack he got 3 players chasing back as well before the tackle was made. And there's a part of me as he's running, I'm like, don't tackle, what are you doing? Just leave it, let it lie. And then he goes in, and you got to time those tackles perfectly to not get a yellow card. Like, it's a decent tackle if you haven't got a yellow card beforehand, but that second yellow one,
I suppose it's one of them. If you're protecting a lead and there's 10 minutes to go, then you take a tactical yellow. But so early in the game, and I think similarly to you, me and Boz had a phone up, and I was like, oh, they're breaking here, and I went, Minoga can't make a. Oh, he's off.
Yeah, he's off, and actually, there's no questions asked, and there's no players surrounding question the decision. It's just like that's what's going to happen now.
And I think most of them realised there was no defending it, and we just went straight over to Neil Harris, didn't we? And sort of said, right, let's pick a shape, who's going where. I thought for the rest of the first half, I thought Swindon were very pedestrian. I'm not going to lie. I didn't think they looked like a team that had an extra player. I think not until the final stages of the first period. I thought they were playing it backwards and sideways, and I think Johnny Williams had it a couple of times, but I didn't really think they got in behind too much and really, really hurt us.
No, I think and Johnny Williams and maybe Tyree Shea was the only 2 players actually trying to make things happen for Swindon. The rest of the team, there's nothing really happening there. I thought Johnny Williams is quite a hot-headed player, and he's quite an energetic player. But even so, he didn't really get into the game until in the second half. We're talking about he got his yellow card. But I think throughout that first half, Gills, we had a couple of opportunities breaking through, Cashgate at the post, and one thing I was frustrated with in that first half myself was the chemistry between Cashgate and Mandron's been frustrating me all season actually so far, and I think it kind of was exposed again. And there was a few opportunities where Mandron and Cashgate could have had a better chemistry to create a few more opportunities. And then when Cashgate at the post, it was another one. Mandron just looked lost and couldn't peel away from him and make space to make that ball come across just before half time. I know it's one specific incident, but it's another time I've been frustrated.
You get a better view of that one because that's right down the other end of the ground to me. So you can get a better perspective of that chance. Do you think a little bit of that though is a lack of confidence in both players? I know Cashgate scored one and Mandron's got one in the cup, but it is only 3 goals all season. There might be a lack of confidence.
Yeah, it is an absolute lack of confidence, and this is why if you flip it on its head and say, well, actually, we've managed to get a couple of clean sheets. Why is that? Well, we're getting clean sheets, so we must be doing something right in defence, But if you flip it on the other end, we're not scoring goals. Your confidence, it's a cycle of decline. It's perpetual, and if you don't get your goal, and then it's just going to get worse and worse. So what we just need is a nice bit of luck or just one amazing moment. And then Harris is right, the floodgates will open. I'm sure it will happen. I can see a click there, but we're just thirsty for it to happen. It's just not quite happened yet.
That's it. If we say it enough, it will start happening. But yeah, I suppose it's whatever side of the coin you decide to land on, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
I suppose if you're glass half empty, you say, well, if we stop keeping clean sheets, then we're in real trouble. But at the same time, like you've just sort of alluded to, if we keep keeping clean sheets and then we do sort it out in the final third, then we might suddenly give a team a hiding, or we certainly will start picking up more wins and climbing the table fairly swiftly.
Absolutely. I just want to add one thing extra as well. I keep thinking the last time Gills had scored 3 goals in any game. Actually, the last time we played Swindon away at the county ground, we beat them 3-1.
Yeah, I think it was. I think there was that, and I think Lincoln was around that
Lincoln
time as
was
well.
the other one. Yeah, absolutely.
That was in the COVID season, wasn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Then, and I yearn the day that we score 3 more goals in a game.
It'd be lovely, wouldn't it? It'd be really nice. But we have to say, like you said already, the defensive side of it was very good. We've mentioned the Glenn Morris save just before half time. I'd imagine the team talk was probably much of the same. Be solid, be compact, work hard. Because we were trying to work out the system. I think there was a period where we went to a 4-4-2, didn't we? I think we had before the red card, certainly, when we was pressing. I think Kashkit went central and we had Rhys and Adelakun from the sides, but then went to like a 4-diamond-1 after the dismissal, it looked like, to try and keep us narrow.
Yeah, it was a tactic which was trying to, because that's how you want to defend in a situation like this, is be as narrow as possible and as compact as possible. And I think that's what eventually it turned out to be, the formation, and obviously led to, which we're probably going to talk about, the versatility of Adelakun.
Yeah, we have to mention him, and we'll certainly get onto him in more detail later on in the video. But yeah, very impressive considering. I mean, bless him. I don't think he crossed the halfway line, which is not what you want from someone you're bringing in to create goals. And it was just another sort of kicking the ball, so to speak, of we're trying to be creative, and we've now got a winger playing at right back. But I thought he was really, really good. And the fact that we didn't have to take him off until the last 10 minutes or so was testament to his performance. But we will get onto him. Second half, I thought, followed a similar pattern. They had more of the ball, but
it was a bit of a nondescript one. I looked at the stats just after, like, at the end of the game. I think Swindon had about something 70 to 75% possession for the second half. It was, and watching the game, you can see that, because every time we got the ball back, we just pinged it back forward into their half. We found it hard to create something, but it was on my notes I've written for this, because I title each half, but for the second half I've titled as Swindon play handball tactics, because that's what it looked like to me. If you ever seen a match of handball, all it is, or basketball, it's just going around the D back and forward, just trying to find a way in. And the defense for the Gills was so tight, they found it so difficult to get through, that all they were doing for the majority of that half was passing it to the left, fling it out to the right, go back to the centre, go to the right, go to the left. And it was just like watching a handball match. But Gills just were not letting them through. And eventually Swindon didn't want to put the ball in high, because they knew they were going to get out-muscled in the air. So they were trying to find a ways through the legs of defence. I think that was kind of their tactic in the second half. And it didn't pay off for them, unfortunately.
Yeah, because they didn't really have like a focal point, like a Mika Mandron type. I don't think, like you say, even last season they were very good at playing through the thirds and getting it and playing in behind teams. And obviously they had Harry McCurdy, who has left, which was good, but he'd have been suspended anyway. But yeah, I think you're right, because we were defending our 18-yard and our 6-yard box so well that they were reluctant to fling it in. And similar to the first half, I thought that we was very clever and we made sure that the game was played in front of us. So there was never really getting in behind. We've mentioned the big Glenn Morris save, the one that you said took the deflection. That was probably the best of the saves he made in the second half. But the other two, I think it was Shade had one effort, or might have been both of them, where he's cut in from the left. They're saves that you'd expect Glenn Morris to make, I think.
Yeah, I think absolutely. There was one where you can make it look dramatic, but the reason it looks dramatic because it's comfortable height for him. He just pushed it out for a corner or something like that. But yeah, every save that he made, maybe apart from the deflected one, they were all pretty goalkeeper standard saves. Which, if Glenn Morris doesn't make those, then he's gonna not sleep that evening, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. And we'd be sitting here talking about a defeat and a goalkeeping error, but
yeah, exactly.
he was solid just as everybody else was as well. There was some confusion. I wanted to talk to you about this. There was confusion about why we only had 6 on the bench yesterday, but apparently there's a rule which I wasn't aware of, so a learning day, that one of your substitutes out of the 7 outfield has to be an academy product.
Oh,
which is why, because we didn't have a Gabodi or a MacArthur or a Carter, that meant we could only name 6 substitutes in total. Like, that's the way I read it anyway. So something new for me.
Interesting. Well, having played Football Manager religiously for years and years and years, they often update the rules on there, and I have not actually had the most recent one, so that might be a new thing because I'm unaware of that one as well, actually.
Yeah, it was very new to me, and I thought, well, surely, because we had obviously Mackenzie, Neil had said was not going to be involved, and then Dom Jeffries had played in the week, but then wasn't involved, and then it was Ollie Lee and Shea Alexander. So I think there was murmurings in the ground. Oh, surely we've not got injuries again. But yeah, it seems that there is some update to the rule, or just a rule that I've completely missed. But yeah, apparently that's what it was. That if there's not an outfield player who's an academy product, you can only name 5 outfield substitutes.
Okay, well, there's been a lot of rules changing with the substitutes anyway, so that might have just slipped in there unnoticed.
Yeah, they do like to do that to us, the EFL. So we'll be fine next week because Kane Holtman will invariably be the substitute keeper because Glenn Morris can't play. So then we can name 6 outfield substitutes. So something to keep an eye on. But yeah, if anyone can clarify, I think Lee Clifton might have tweeted about it. Then please let us know by commenting down below because it was certainly new to me, and I was certainly asking the question. I still can't get my head around this 3 substitute timings rule as well. That after the last one, you then can't make any more. But it's you know, it's ever evolving. Ever evolving, we call it. It's probably more polite. You mentioned second half we couldn't get out. I said that I thought we got deeper and deeper as the half went on, and that's going to happen subconsciously because you start sinking because you know you're defending a point or a lead. I thought Sean Williams, bless him, looked out on his feet last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It was effectively almost playing. I think that, but when after we brought Will Wright on, it was almost like we had 4 centre halves,
pretty much
plus fullbacks. But again, I thought we were comfortable. I don't think it was a game where you consider. I know Swindon have had 80% possession and they've had 14 shots, but looking at an app I use, 3 shots on target.
They did nothing with it. Absolutely diddly
haven't
squat.
done a lot with it. No, they've never really threatened us. And like I say, the 2 shots, the curling ones are comfortable. The header and the one with the deflection are the better saves. But I thought we was full value for our point.
Absolutely full value for our point, and we don't. I mean, yeah, Sean Williams, he was out of breath big time by the end of the game. But we just dug in, we set up our tent, and we stayed there. We were not letting anyone get round our fort, and I think that's kind of the way in which we played. It was just like a massive rock on a beach, and no one was going to go around it. And you know, and it required every single player on that pitch just to give 110% and some. And I think. You know, and I think that's what happened. I mean, when Lewis Walker came on, and occasionally he would like to have a try and run down to the other side of end of the pitch to try and create an attack, but actually he was just like another line of defence, but sort of a bit pretty much the halfway line.
Yeah,
and then we just had layers of defence. It was like a lasagna defence going down, just these massive layers. and
that's a new hipster term we just invented.
Yeah, well, there might be a few of those a bit later on in the season.
But it was one about scoring a goal as well. But
yeah, well, when it happens, so we'll get one.
Right, that's the game. We've covered both halves. We agree that we were full value for the point. We agree that it was a proper team performance. I mean, there were some standouts that we're going to talk about now, but I thought generally there was no one worse than 6.5, 7 out of 10. Everyone was really good in what they had to do. But let's talk about Swindon as much as we don't want to. I joke if there's any Swindon fans watching. For a couple of minutes because I always do opposition best player. Swindon for me, and I've got a feeling we're going to say the same person.
Okay.
You mentioned him first half. He was the only real threat. My pick for best Swindon player was Tyree Shade.
That's what I've got written down as well.
I thought he was very, very good. I thought him. You mentioned one other as well, Williams from the other side. I thought Ben Gladwin had an impact as well. I thought he was getting on the ball. He was dropping deeper to try and pick up pockets of space to try and influence things. But again, we was playing with the football in front of us, which made it easier to defend. But yeah, I thought Shade stood out all afternoon.
Yeah, I think he did. He was the only one that I thought, along with Williams, who had sort of something to. They were trying to make things happen for Swindon. They were the creative ones, but I think Tyrese Shea was the one that was really trying to do stuff with the ball, was let down by a lot of his teammates by not creating enough space or movement for Swindon, and we closed him down relatively well to stop that from happening. But he was the only bright spark in that team that really was trying to get things going. But I think he may have been on the same side as Ben Gladwin as well, and those two together a couple of times.
I think Gladwin, especially first half after the red card, kept drifting out to the right, and they were linking up quite well. I know he started centrally, but obviously he probably then had pretty much a free role because they had an extra man.
Yeah, exactly. But that was the only one, because it's obviously when I'm watching the game, I'm trying to watch it as holistically as I can, and it's quite hard sometimes to follow the opposition. But he was the one that just sort of like kept popping up and going, "Oh, he's playing well. We need to keep an eye on him. We need to keep pressing him. We need to keep a track of what Tyrese Shade is doing." And so therefore, that's why I gave him, for me, the best opposition player for that game.
Totally agreed, which is a nice start. Yeah, just looking at his stats, he played 90 minutes. Like you said, he wasn't getting a lot of help at times, so it looks like he took it upon himself. He had 3 shots on target. He had 4 shots blocked.
Okay.
2 out of 3 successful dribbles, 79 touches, which I think was probably one of the most in the Swindon team. And I think he did his defensive duty as well. I mean, on the rare occasion that we did try and get forward, 88% pass completion as well, which is very, very good. 150% of his ground duels. So yeah, I think well deserved. Best Swindon player was Tyrese Shade. But back to the Gills, because it is a Gills channel, obviously. I think we're going to agree on this, which is quite boring now. Gills man of the match. I know the sponsors gave it to Scotty Cashkett in the ground, which
I heard that on the tannoy.
I've got absolutely no issue with that. I thought Scott Cashkett was absolutely superb. I know he got likened to a Duracell bunny in Neil Harris's press conference afterwards and his interview. Boundless energy, chase lost causes. I think someone tweeted and said he epitomised playing for the badge mentality yesterday, and I thought that summed it up really well. I went for someone, though, that had to play 80 minutes out of position.
Yeah, pretty much. And anyone that's called upon to play 80 minutes out of position is is always going to be a challenge for anyone. But not only to rise up to the challenge, but then to exceed expectation is, I think, what Hakeeb Adelakan did yesterday. And I think that's what we're going to agree on, isn't it?
It is, yeah. So hopefully there'll be a bit more controversy in further episodes. We won't agree on everything.
No,
but yeah, I think it was fairly clear yesterday. He was absolutely spot on. We've already said didn't get across the halfway line, which is what you want him to do generally when you've got 11 players on the pitch. But I thought for someone who's not meant to play there, I thought he was absolutely first class. And I think he won himself to an absolute standstill, and he got an absolutely deserved standing ovation when he walked off over by the Gordon Road stand and came round behind the Raynham. I thought he was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, it's Rob McKenzie's got to fight for that place now, I think, if he gets back on the pitch.
I mean, he was very good. I'm not sure I'd want him there all the time. Don't get me wrong. It's a bit similar to when we put Robbie McKenzie as a 10 a couple of seasons ago. I'm not sure it's something we should do as a regular thing. But yeah, it's nice to have 4 options now at right back, potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. But absolutely, he grew into the role very well. And he looked like actually just a very natural footballer. I mean, you can be natural positional players in football. You can be a natural goalkeeper, even natural striker, but actually he would just look like a natural footballer just doing his bit. He understood the role in the short time he had to pick up and learn it, and then just did the basics. And actually it's all you can ask for someone in there. And I think he did the basics and more. And one of the benefits actually as well in the second half, occasionally he would try to find a route through out of the Gills half to try and get into Swindon. And I could see he had the vision to try and do that. So he still had his attacking mentality cap on. Whilst also defending with all his might at the right back position. So, he was really he did a lot doing that game, and I was really impressed with his performance overall.
Yeah, 100%. And again, just to look at some statistics to back that up. 89 minutes played, 66% of his duels won. He made 4 clearances. He blocked a shot, 9 interceptions, 1 tackle, and again, Rhys has just alluded to it, and 2 key passes. So he was trying to get us into good areas when he had the opportunity. How ever sporadically they were. And yeah, obviously a clean sheet as well, which was fantastic and well deserved. So well earned man of the match for the Gills for both me and Rhys was Haji. We're now going to have a look before we finish up at the Gills match ratings. I've got mine. They were published on Twitter over the weekend. Rhys has written his down, so we'll see how close we get with these. I'm pretty sure we might disagree a bit now. Otherwise, conspiracy theories might start taking off. Start with the goalkeeper. I know I have this chat on Twitter all the time, Rhys. People go, oh, it was too low, it was too high. What was it? Why did you give him that? Why did you give him that? I always say that 6 is my starting point. That's a bang average performance. Not awful, not spectacular. We tend to add half a point on for a goal.
Yeah. Here we go.
So that's my starting point.
Okay.
Anything obviously under 6 is below average. Anything over that is a slightly above average, and then you get into your higher ratings. What did you give Glenn Morris?
Somewhere between like a 7.5, 7.7. I think it's unfair to say that he's not got a 9. He's not had like 10 shots to save, but he's had to make a key couple of saves. So if I had to have to say exact 7.5, somewhere around there would have been my 1.7.
Yeah, I only do 0.5s on here. We don't have to start getting too intricate. It's fine.
Fair enough. Good. I'm good to hear that because I've only got the 0.5s or 0.0s.
I had 7.5 as well.
Okay.
What he did really well. Haji Minoga.
I know what you gave him, actually. It's actually the only one I looked on your tweet at. I know you gave him a 2.
I did. That was for warming up and the first 4 minutes.
I gave him a 3, and I'll tell you why I gave him 1 extra. Because that first 10 minutes, let's ignore the fact they got a red card. Those first sort of 9 minutes, there's a part of me that says, do you know what, right? He added some value to that first 10 minutes. He allowed us to play the game that Harris wanted to play. So I can see some value in him. It's just that obviously then the situation unraveled, which then puts his rating right down. But that's why I give it maybe 1 extra than
and we're not by any means writing him off. He's a kid, and that's why kids go out on loan. So fingers crossed he'll learn, and he'll learn fast because he has to. But Rhys was being nice. I usually get accused of being too positive, so that's fine. Max Ema and Elkan Baggott as a centre-back pairing for the majority of the game before we went to a back 5. I gave 7 each. I thought they were both super solid.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it was slightly Elkan Baggott, maybe a 7.5. I thought he was pretty good. I'd raise that slightly. And Max Ema for me was the best performance of the season so far. So a 7 would be.
In a back 4 as well, which I think there's been question marks over with Max all season. He's looked better suited to being in the middle of a 3. So for that, in a back 4 with 10 men, a very good performance from Max Ema. Moving across to left back, I thought Ryan Law was steady, had his moments. I've still not seen enough yet to decide that he's definitely number 1 left back past David Totondra. I've not seen a lot different between them. But what did you give him for the 90 minutes?
Oh, this went a bit harsh actually. I gave him 6.5, pushing to 7. This was for me, out of that back 4, as mentioned when Adelakin came in, I thought he was the one that looked a little bit, I thought that's where the side of the goal was going to come from. That's what I kept thinking. That's instinctively what I think. So I gave him a 6.5. That probably is quite harsh, to be fair. But
I gave him exactly the same. So
okay, fair enough.
I'll say, it was done between myself, Boz, and Stocky as we walked back to the car. But yeah, 6.5. I just think he lacks a little bit of pace to be a fullback. Yeah. I think he might be better suited as a wing back because then he's higher up the pitch and he's got an extra centre half that can come across and cover if he is caught out of position. But by no means a poor performance from Laurie. He played his part in keeping a clean sheet. The 2 in the middle that was sat protecting that back line was Stuart O'Keefe and Sean Williams. I gave them both a 7. I thought they were both very good, very clever at using their experience to keep us tight and keep those players, those younger ones that might want to go running off and chasing things down. I thought they were very clever in what they did. So I gave them both a 7.
And without the risk of just going to copy and paste in that, I would agree with the 7. I would say slightly, maybe Shaw Williams was slightly better. I think O'Keefe in that particular game, I think he controlled that game in the centre quite well. So if I was to choose one over the other, it would be Sean Williams. But it would be a 7.5 if I was really going to push it. But I think that might be a little bit too generous for the mid 2. But they were both pretty solid and had a solid performance.
Yeah. We move further forward then. Haji Badelakoon gave an 8.
I gave him an 8.5.
Fair enough. I can't argue with that at all. He was very, very good at everything that he did.
Just imagine if you're played out of position and then expected to do a decent job. I think that alone is, putting your hand up and getting back there is good enough for me. And then actually to impress, I thought excellent. And I thought that was very indicative of someone who's a Gills player. That's what I really liked about it.
I said that coming out the ground, there was a couple of people talking. I think I said to Boston, it felt like a Gillingham performance. It felt like,
exactly.
backs to the walls, crowd was up, getting on board.
Yeah.
Siege mentality, everyone together a little bit, and it shouldn't take a red card to happen, and it shouldn't take a poor refereeing performance. But we don't rate officials on here because we've been here for ages.
No, I'm glad you said that.
Where did we get to? We got to Ben Reeves. I gave a solid 7. I thought he was steady again. He's a calming influence. He always looks like he's got a bit of extra time on the ball, and I just think it's great that he's completing 90 minutes a lot now because he hadn't done that enough for us.
No, absolutely, and I gave him a similar score, and it's just nice to see him. He's in a position that he can play fluid football in, and he's definitely trying to get a good chemistry with the people at the top. And it was a solid performance again, and he just seems so energetic these days, and it's really nice to see him running around the pitch trying to create stuff. For me, that was like Swindon's version. That was Johnny Williams or Tyrese Shade, and that for me is what Ben Reeves is in that example. I thought it's just trying to create something.
Talking of energetic, we've already mentioned him. Scott Cashkett was ridiculously energetic for the entire game, and he was unlucky not to pinch a goal first half. I gave him a 7.5, just below a Delacoon.
Okay, it's interesting you say that, but so I totally agree with the energy and the effort put into it. But I actually gave him a slightly lower rating. It was 7, maybe pushed 6.5 to a 7. I thought he was good. But the reason I say that is because he's now starting to. He had a couple of opportunities to be at a shot that went over the bar, which he should have played back to Adlac in the first half. He hit the post when maybe you should have seeked out Mandron. I don't know. I thought there was a couple of sort of specific skill-based errors that I feel that he should have done a little bit better, which has lowered his rating for me ever so slightly. But
no, that's fine. And again, it's great to get this because you get a different perspective, because you get a very sort of wide view of the pitch, whereas we're at one end, so we can't see so much down the far end. Mika Mandron's the last one who started. We gave him a 6.5. I thought he linked play well. He was very good first 10 minutes, I thought, and him and Scott Cashkett were pressing really well. We've already mentioned the sort of half chance where him and Cashkett not messed it up, but maybe picked the wrong option. But it's just not happening for him in the penalty box at the moment, is it? So I don't think you can give a striker who's not really getting chances or creating anything for himself much higher than a 6.5. But again, done his defensive duty, and that was all you can ask in the circumstances.
Yeah, I think the only reason I would give him a 6.5 is because he did his defensive duties. I think if it was based just on the attack alone, I'd be struggling to get more than a 5.5, because I think at the moment he seems to be ghosting at the top of the top of this formation. And I just feel at the moment he should be doing a lot more. I don't know what he needs to do more, but I hope it's just it's just chemistry and being able to click with the wingers that are around them. But there seems to be something not quite working there at the moment for him, but it might just take a goal or 2 in the league, and that will.
Like
change
you said, it might
entirely.
just need one to bounce off him, mightn't it? And then he might be up and running and away, and we can keep our fingers crossed for that.
Exactly. Yeah. Just
right. Substitutes. Substitutes. We'll just run through them. I'm not going to do too much on these. Just the ratings. We gave Lewis Walker a 6, Alex McDonald a 6, and we didn't rate Will Wright or David Tatonda because we don't tend to rate. I mean, unless someone comes and scores a hat-trick, we don't rate people if they've come on after 75 minutes. So 2 6s for Lewis Walker and Alex McDonald. What did you give them? And if you did give a rating to the other 2 quickly?
I didn't give rating to the other 2 actually, and I didn't. This is going to be instinctive here. I didn't give rating to the subs actually, so I'm going to do this on the spot. And I think Lewis Walker came on, looked like he could be a threat, but actually he was asked to just do a quick job of defending. And same with McDonald. I love it when McDonald comes on. He's just got the energy, and he's just got he gets it, and he got it again on Saturday as well. And he came on and just did the defensive job when there were weaknesses in defence. He came on. He came on for Reeves, didn't he? In the end.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So he just came on and did a job, and for that, you can't fault him for the time he's on, like a 6.5 or your mundane sort of standard level, and that's all we did.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, another steady performance. He's never going to have an opportunity to influence the game in an attacking sense. No. Unfortunately, he was just coming on to provide fresh legs and make sure that we saw out the clean sheet, and he did that very, very well. Right. That is the first episode of our new looking Monday review out the way. So thanks again to Rhys. I've really enjoyed that. It's great to get a different opinion on the game. And like I say, you get a completely different view of it watching it on a screen, because you get to see both halves at the same time, essentially, whereas we get, a very one-dimensional view from the same seat. So really enjoyed it. Like I've said, Gills fans, if you're not yet subscribing and following Rhys on the German Gills, why not? Go and do it. I will put his Twitter handle and his YouTube details at the bottom in the description. No midweek game, so it means that Neil Harris and his now complete squad until January get a full week on the training ground ahead of Crawley away next week. We'll hopefully be back later in the week to talk to a Crawley fan ahead of that fixture. I wasn't going because it is my wife's birthday on Thursday, but she's informed me she's working Saturday, so I might have had the green card to be able to attend that game, but we shall see. Hopefully, if we're there, I'll see a few of you and we'll do a match day live. But if not, there'll be a reaction video next Monday. I think you're away, aren't you, Rhys? So it'll just be me flying solo, unfortunately.
So next Sunday, it's unlikely that I'll be able to make the Monday review. It's like one of the very few ones that I don't think I can do is next
No,
Monday
that's
review.
absolutely fine. Like we said right at the top of the show, we've all got lives and families and other stuff that we need to do. Gills fans, let us know. Comment down below. Let us know on Facebook once you've watched it when it's live. That what your thoughts on the new setup. I hope you enjoy it more. It gets boring just listening to one voice. I understand that, and I think Rhys has come on and provided some really good opinions on how he sees the game. That's enough from us for today, though. I hope your week isn't too stressful if you are at work. Like I say, be back later in the week. But until next time, up the Gills.
Up the Gills.